Welcome to the Innovator Coffee, a podcast that bridges the gap between people and the world of AI and innovation. Follow us to explore the top AI applications, ecosystem insights, and the emerging trends. Today, we're honored to have Brett Liu, a principal of 60 Degree Capital, to be here with us.
Hey. Hello, everyone. Lovely to be here and share what I hear from last week and also from our day-to-day life.
So for today's topic, we're going to talk about a very exciting security conference, which is called RSA. So for people who do not know RSA, here's some background information. So the RSA conference is a major global security conference where professionals gather to learn, network, and explore the latest security technologies and trends. On average, 45,000 people attend the conference each year. In 2025, it featured 450 plus sessions, 730 plus speakers, and 650 exhibitors. So, welcome to today's session. First of all, Brett, I want to check with you. During this conference, did you see something very interesting or fun?
Oh yeah, I can add to Vicky's introduction. For me, RSA is what I call away from home. Because I do feel welcome there from just the ecosystem very familiar, and I've been covering cybersecurity and AI application at investment at 60 Capital. I think surely it is one moment where we sourcing live deals, but also just trying to gauge on what are people thinking, how practitioners responding to all the hypes, and what are real, what are up and coming. So definitely, if you got off the airport and started walking straight, I think AI has been the buzzword that most security firms start adopting.
I look at some background information according to the 2025 RSAC official information, right? As recently as 2023, AI-related submissions only counted for about 5% of the talks people wanted to deliver in the conference, while in 2025, the conference called for submissions open. Of more than 2,800 proposals, over 40% referenced AI and its combining topics of machine learning and agents. It's a big jump, right? This year definitely is an AI innovation year for cybersecurity. During the conference, did you see any exciting AI products or trends this year?
Yeah, I think we start tracking. I think we start tracking security for AI product about 3 years ago. So that's when basically hidden layers just start making their name out of it. We stopped tracking that about a year ago. There's just too many competitors and offering more or less similar stuff. And just maturity of the use case has never been really significant enough from the customers and from larger vendors. But right around earlier this year, I was doing my rounds with some of the large corporations, SentinelOne, CloudStrike, Zscaler, Akamai, Cloudflare, Palo Alto. More or less what I hear from them is, Brett, what do you think of this security for AI space? And what do you see there? So I think really maybe starting from late last year, the major use case for security for AI, auto pickup, protect, and rumor had it, hidden layers on the market potentially being acquired as well. You do see a good amount of companies start getting traction rather than just a nominal POC dragging over again. So I think the security for AI market is finally there, and we are also very closely tracking that. We're looking for a few live deals in that space. So not something new, but I would say is new from a probably first time we see product market fit in security for AI, that major bucket. And SOC automation, AI SOC, that's something been hot for 2 years too. Last year we saw about 7-8 of them. This year I heard number going to 25. I haven't seen 25 of them, but I do see 16 of them. So that's a space where all the major players, major tier 1 funds, they're placing their bets right now, right? JobZone and the Striker, and then Profit backed by Bain Capital. So Striker wasn't the one, but what I mean is actual force, and also people are legitimately raising large C round and Series A rounds, not based on a whole lot of traction. So that's a space where I think quite a bit hype, but potentially large use case, right? When SOC automation is still one of the largest domain area where people struggled and need efficiency uplift. So that's something we see just the company entering nonstop right now. So that's two major, I would say, larger bucket in terms of AI-enabled security play. And smaller ones, we also see AI-enabled red teaming that's been around for a couple of years. Frankly, I don't see anything that is really there in productization or workflow automation, but that's one getting a lot of attention now. AI-enabled pen testing, I think has been around for a couple of years. I think we all see Horizon 3, Pantera, and there's new gen players coming out, try to improve on their degree automation and make it more AI-enabled or AI competitive. Yeah, so that's another, I would say, more AI play, and the AI-based API testing, like, basically application security to counter AI-generated code, where how do you prevent that? How do you discover vulnerability from that? Still using AI to against AI. So that's another interesting topic that I heard from practitioners and founders, frankly. And I think, to name a few, those are something I observed.
I have a similar observation with you, right? I started to look at AI side probably in 2021-22 timeframe, when Isaka tried to have their first AI framework. I was part of it, try to help out. That's the time I started to look at the AI piece. Since after, I totally agree with you. Last year was kind of start booming time, right, for the AI for security and security for AI. So with this year in the RSA conference time, I do see Palo Alto Network talk about the protective AI merger and acquisition, and this way will help Palo Alto Network to make their AI product line more completed, right? And also during the time, I do see several different big companies AI product release, including Cisco and Meta, etc. During the RSA conference, I went to a few sessions. I do see something very interesting when OpenAI, Meta, and Anthropic, their CISO, talk about their internal use case on the security side. In the past, as you mentioned, right, there are some SOC analysts like Combinate or the one you mentioned, and the red teaming. This year during the session, they also explained their internal case regarding the blue teaming operations, supply chain security enhancement, automated KKQs, and code reviews. Very interesting internal use case in the past that people never think of. And also with the revolution of the two functionalities, right? The data integrations with protocols such as MCP or A2A Google, I think the continuous enhancement of the self-reflective prompt generation are paving the way for surging in diverse of AI applications as well. At the same time, I do say in the sandbox innovation, right? There are 10 finalists, maybe 5 or 6 are related to AI, right? They span out from the identity management to virtual workforce solution, vulnerability assessment, red teaming as well. Even for the project discovery, which is the first place, right? They didn't talk about the AI piece, but if you look at the product in details, they do have the AI elements in it as well. Very interesting way. And the other observation I can see from conference is not only new startups, they're doing something for AI, but also the existing startups with 3 or 5 years, they also broaden their offerings to take on emerging AI-related challenges. For example, I see there's a next generation event management tool. And now they're leveraging the AI coding capability to streamline the code compositions and try to save the downstream SOC analyst or incident response team's time, right? Which is very interesting.
I was saving the MCP piece later, but I think we see MCP authorization being probably the most interesting idea in the identity space for now. And how do you navigate complexity between agent calling agent, and how do you trace back the lineage of basically the root of that agent's function? And so basically that requires contextualization. You had to understand who built the agent and what's the agent been working at, what had been accessed in the past. I think that's something we saw as well. I think Natoma Labs, one we really like, from the stage where they're at and how they have been tracking very closely to the development of SCP framework. And I think that's the hot area for sure.
When we talk about the startup, basically we're talking about people, product, and go-to-market, right? At least the marketing go-to-market definitely is the biggest thing.
People say go-to-market as in just lead generation, closing sales, but it's so much more than that, right? How you support existing customer, how do you communicate that, right? How do you make your attention goes right to the customer where they need it? And a lot of founders I learn from their customer why they're great, because they listen and they always make the changes and make the adjustment based on what the customer want, right, on the ongoing basis. I think that require not only just strong sales, but also just leadership, management, and just being able to just within your own organization, you're able to push down the message, right? Like, we had to do this, and every single layer we can deliver at the same level. Like, I would say that's probably more important than there are about 10% in cybersecurity that are deep tech, that are fundamentally you can have a different technology underlying, and that's typically the encryption, the differential privacy, some of the masking technologies. And those are more deep tech than anything else. So if you have the right approach, right technology, and you build on top of that, naturally your speed, your latency, your accuracy might be different based on the technical approach you take. But you know better than I do that most product out there for workflow automation is pretty standard. It comes down to maybe initially people start from place and have a strong different starting point, but eventually they converge at a certain level, and at that point you just really need to continue to execute well.
Exactly. When we talk about this marketing go-to-market, right, it makes me start to think about the marketing competitive space at the RSA, right? Every time when I go to RSA, I just appreciate how much things people do for their marketing to make this typical giant technical area so fun. I go to a grow-up park and I see all the sort of different things people gave all their marketing gifts, like masks, hats, bags, snacks, drinks, games, sand books, or magic shows or raffle, right? You name it. I saw this year the biggest raffle is a Mini Cooper, and I see a lot of I see at least one mini zoo and one puppy playground this year. I just feel like everyone trying to stand out. The products within the innovation or address the pain actually they might bring. But I do had a lot of fun when I was there.
I have a daughter and she likes stuffed animals, and there's one, I forgot which brand they have something, a unicorn of some sort. I was like, that's really lovely. I have a daughter at age 5, and could I possibly have one, right, just for her? No, the mascot is for attendee of our demo, and you had to answer 5 pages of questionnaire post this demo to test your knowledge. Get out of here, right? I, for one, don't have the energy. For 2, don't have the knowledge to do that, right? So, So again, I was hoping people to be more generous.
I think most important thing is in the conference, the first thing is try to connect, right? There are a lot of things we can do later on, right? So totally agree with you. And the other trend we see actually it's related to the quantum computing side. Earlier this year in the NVIDIA conference, actually they had a quantum computing day, right? They bring all the quantum computing key players in the same stage and talk about quantum computing. And obviously, security is kind of like business enabler and protection. It's always come up a little bit later than the major engineering innovation, but it started to pick up this year as well. I know a few years ago, people started to talk about quantum computers and how their impact on the password or crypto piece.
Yeah. We start hearing that from last year too. Sounds fancy. Again, I think it's a little ahead of its time. And people are like, oh, the ransom right now because you're encrypted only because they don't have enough computer. But when quantum's coming in, then they just, ransom now and harvest later, and they're just gonna run quantum computing on someone's basement and just decrypt everything you encrypted early on. I don't know. This just sounds a little too futurist to me that this is happening next couple years. But I guess maybe someone is more visionary, seeing the need of that. But obviously, my day-to-day investment, I don't have that yet. But I don't want to touch one thing quickly on differentiation for the AI-enabled product. I think security, but also generally, this is cliche already, but if you have differentiated data, proprietary data, that's a big deal. People, it's hard to get, and people have all kind of claim for different things. But incumbents still have way more just edge over startups. Come down to data. Accessibility. So that one is important, but doesn't really play in startups' favor. But if you do work at other place and somehow get your hands on good amount data and utilizable data, that's good for you, right? If your research days that you just happen to have good amount of exposure to high quality data from your research group, and that's also beneficial. right? But typically what I see is that data actually working against startups is more favorable for the incumbent to build on their years amount of data. So I just want to kind of, touch back on that a little bit.
We also talk in the conference, right? Like early this year in Q1, we also see there's a strong trend in the cybersecurity consolidation, right? There's so many merger and acquisition happening in the Q1. So during the conference, did you see a lot of different products start to plan?
Platformatization just come down to what I would say cloud security goes through that platformatization about 2 years ago. A lot of smaller players got rolled up, a couple of large cloud security vendors, and that's kind of it. Right, everything try to work under them or below them is potentially acquisition target. I think that we have seen. AppSec has gone through, I would say, a different way of consolidation, because I feel like the fundamental ones, the SaaS, the DaaS, the SCAs, either organic or inorganically. About 4 or 5 years ago, everybody already have everything. All the incumbent, you look at their stack, they're pretty much there. So at this point, I don't even know what to be further consolidated in AppSec anymore. And maybe that's the reason we haven't looked at a lot of AppSec deals. I do observe that in identity space, we're seeing just, I would say, more convergence in feature, which is early sign of platformatization or consolidation. Because I used to be pretty interested in IDTR a couple years ago, and now if you look at anyone, they have one kind IDTR. And SPM, I think that's another very typical feature that people add onto their platform. And then we have that typical, the PAM feature, identity governance feature, that become more or less a platform. And you have Veza and Silverford and a couple of mid-generation players that are still going quite fast and offering, frankly, more or less everything already. It's calling up for the junior players also try to adopt a platform play early on, right? That's where you see a lot of Series A, B company, they become a full platform play now, just adding feature one after another to their existing offering. But it's gonna be pretty much best if everybody's offering platform play, and feature differentiation, like I mentioned, is not gonna be a key difference anymore. And then what do you come down to, right? So I think identity plays, especially in this IDTR, SPM, even IGA, I think that become also commoditized as well. Data security has been interesting. We haven't seen that DSPM has been acquired into other companies. So it's less as consolidation within data security, but more of other platform adopting DSPM product, right? So within data security, I do see a bunch of new DLP players, C round or early A, coming to the market, which is good for us because we do have a portfolio in that space in the past. So I think seeing this part of the market getting hot and the potentially strong tailwind from adoption, that's encouraging for the data security players. So consolidation, I don't know what's happening already, but you do see Sierra purchase the DLP players last year, and that could be another signature move trying to offer a platform play nowadays. I think that's a couple of major markets we're looking at from a consolidation perspective.
I totally agree with you on this perspective, right? I think the most important thing in security industry is this is an industry very hard to make a very big company with big market share. Even the biggest company right now is only the 1.5% market share, right? The reason is because all the security requirement in different industry or different compliance requirement, or even the purchasing process, they have a different cost center. Very, very hard to consolidate for one big product. But for specific area like identity management, which is cross-region, cross-industry, have a similarity on the required workflow or steps, definitely will be the space. Agree with you on this perspective. Well, in the conference, right, I know you mentioned you're more connecting and try to look at the new company, new startups, right? Did you see something fun or startup coming?
This is where I'm gonna charge my sponsorship fee now. Yeah, I think for the larger buckets, we sort of have seen or more or less know everyone from Series A and beyond. So it's coming down to, in those large category, we're looking for emerging play that seeing anything different. And the major bucket is basically the cloud security space, CDR, AppSec space, SPM, ADR, identity. We track a lot of things there already. So I would say if we go outside of this core large bucket that everybody look at it, there are a few things that again, I learned from the practitioner that they're being actually pretty troublesome, and they're actually looking for a strong product in those space. So I think one thing, I heard that that application pen testing has been a pain in the ass, still very manual, still very costly, and because it's more complicated than just network pen testing. So this has been very much laborsome for a lot of WebEx native product. I'm probably copying my notes, but I really haven't seen a lot of new players in this space. So maybe that's a good thing. Founders may want to spend more time there and looking for opportunities. I think I was mentioning the AI code triage, automated code triage and fixing. I think this is in today's time because the amount of just AI generated code, the amount of it just sprawling. Frankly, you may go out of control, and the traditional code triage product may not be able to handle, for one, the volume of it, for two, the newer sophisticated code injection or the vulnerability introduced by automated code generated. So that might be an interesting space. I think I heard about startups working in this particular topic. Very much I look forward to seeing more in that space, and this could be a very imminent issue very soon, because we know those AI code generator are getting great traction and they're pumping code out every day, right? So whether we have the equivalent triaging and fixing, remediating product to match that, I think it's probably this year's issue rather than next year or year after next year. So that part I'm quite interested. Vulnerability management, I do see a few newer players, AI enabled, AI native vulnerability management. So again, calling out names doesn't suggest that I know them well enough to make a recommendation. But Tonic is one thing. Tonic security is one that I felt pretty interested. And going back to the automated code fixing, Amplify security. Founder Ali, I had a good talk with him. I think they are probably one of the better ones out there with the proof point already achieved with open source and existing adoption from users across more than 500 organizations. So Amplify, that's the one for the code triaging and fixing. Yeah, I think I was always interested in detection engineering within the SOC, how to automate that and how to update the policy that helped you run detection engineering. And that's challenging in the past because, for one, the framework has been very diversified or heterogeneous, if you call it. So it's hard to have one unanimously great framework to run things or to kind of lay things out. But right now with AI, trying to learn from the policy across different customers and then try to have a unified set of the policy that have the maximum compatibility against different kind of detection engineering engine. I think that may be the first time we can look at this more as automatable, productized solution than ever before. And threat hunting, that's another piece that historically very onerous, very time consuming in terms of building the practice internally. But with AI, I do think there might be a chance that this is also getting some automation. And there's one or two companies that I see out there, but I want to say that for this, I believe some incumbent, players such as Ionix and Cycognito, because they own the front end of workflow from the threat intelligence to external asset management, they own the knowledge, right? So intrinsically, when they inherited that knowledge early on, and they're more, I would say, suitable or in a good position to manage the downstream process. Basically, how do you learn from that and how do you incorporate the learning from external, trying to match with internal vulnerability and the run detection and threat hunting. So for this particular topic, my bet is with some of the incumbents. I think that's also AI MDR. I think that's a newer space. Basically, AI-enabled MDR solutions. There are a few companies that were looking at it. I think TenX, TENEX, is one truly interesting one that we're just talking to them right now. I think those are some of the, I would say, less hyped, well, maybe, or at least less attended areas or topics that probably you don't see all of them from all the LinkedIn recap from RSA, from other folks, hopefully.
Similar to what you observe, right? I do see there are some AI-related threat intelligence company. In the past, I saw some startup, they try to use AI to solve this part of problem for the known threats. And this year, quite interesting. I saw one or two companies, they start to use AI technology to resolve the unknown threats, which is very interesting for me. Maybe we'll see more. I forgot the name. Sorry about that. And I do see a few startups, it caught my attention, right? This year, I do see the non-human identity companies starting comes up. Maybe it's not like new, but I see this year, I see more. Maybe because of the AI risks come up for the AI related.
Yeah, I think they were hard last year because same reason, right? Because they do cover, they were saying, we didn't see a lot of agent back then, but they essentially same thing, right? Like, non-human access control, how are you going to manage that? And this year, people just frankly call them agentic security right now. That's why MCP authorization, authentication, and access control eventually, and governance and discovery. Those workflow, I think, could be the first batch of immediate use case for some company that are building or using agent right now. So, and granted, they're getting a lot of attention. They're getting hot. I think this place may be a few winners in the space, and I like it because a lot of people need this. Not just security firms, not just Okta. Okta probably build their own, but you got other more also GenAI infrastructure company. Potentially, if they want to govern/secure the agentic workflow and their MCP server, they can adopt a tool like this, right? If they want to offer a more secure solution to their customer, building agent solution on top of their framework, having a more secured angle, it definitely adds some benefit to it. I agree. This is one hot area that we as a firm also track very closely.
It also helps on the compliance side as well. The other piece, I see the similar observation is on the AI coding fix bugs, right? My observation is not only the startup, but also some like existing old company, they start to embed this function in their existing products. At least I saw two there. They already have very mature product already. I was there, listened to their demo. Very impressed. Other than the AI piece, I also see there are three companies I really like. One is called, again, right, I don't have an affiliation. It's just purely from the observer standpoint. One is called Mesh Security, not only because their marketing gift is dinosaur egg, right, with dinosaur, but also it offers some next generation DSMA platform, which means they gather all different domains data collected together from different security points and add a layer on top of everything to get the full context visibilities, which I feel like will largely reduce the time to collect data from different area and make the management report or dashboard. This one, from management standpoint, I really like it. The second one is quite interesting. It's called Application Aware VPN. I think this concept comes up 2 to 3 years ago, maybe. But this is my first time to see products in the conference. Like for VPN, normally you can detect any specific applications or area. And this one, I think they combine with some identity management, privilege access or something, and then they make it happen. Very interesting. It's called Border. The other one is AXO Flow. They provide the end-to-end pipeline automating the collection and management of the security data. It happens before the data get into the pipeline. I think it will save tremendous time once you see all those visualize the data paths when you try to solve the downstream problem. Those are three items I really like. So I think we're towards to the end of our conversation. I wonder if you have something else as from different perspective for this conference. For me, definitely it's people. I do see a lot of great people.
Well, I think people should make 2 weeks out of it rather than 1 week, because that's too much for 1 week. I wouldn't mind it having a week and a half doing this rather than cramping everything into 1 week, because that's a lot of. One, they have 11 in-person meetings and 7 events after that. I like it, but also it's a lot, right? I think there's no getting away from that. So if they want to extend it into a weekend or next days, at least allow people some breathing room, right? But again, I don't manage events. I don't have good insight as to maybe it make more sense to put people together in 1 week over 2 weeks. But I was hoping this is so I came in early. So right now I came in a week before, so I start doing meeting on the weekend. I think that's one way I can manage some of the intensity of that heavy loaded week. But love it. It's still my favorite week of the year. I couldn't get enough of that. And it is truly productive, I think, both for practitioner, for investors. If you're living in the space, looking security, and now AI enabled, this is a place to be. Yeah.
I think definitely I will attend next time as well.
All right, good chat, Vicky. I think love to continue working with you on things, and thank you for having me here.
Thanks for your time. It's a pleasure to talk to you today.